So I am in beautiful Montenegro to test out the all-new Porsche Macan. Now, Porsche since 2014 have sold over 850,000 units of this beautiful car. But perhaps this is its biggest and boldest change yet, because the Macan goes all electric. Now they've given me the keys to this, the top-end turbo model. What could go wrong? Cue the awesome B-roll. So get this, I am in a convoy of Porsche Macans driving up something known as the Kotor Serpentine, which is an FIA approved essentially road which turns into a racetrack. And if that's not interesting enough, at one point they go, "Oh, and we've closed off the road just for you." And I'm like, holy shit, this is serious. Yeah, so we passed the police checkpoint and literally they've blocked out the entire road up this mountain for us to try out these cars. And I currently have, right, the top of the range turbo model with 1,100 Newton meters of torque. Of course, I've switched it to sport mode, not so much for the acceleration because these are narrow roads after all, but the steering response, of course, improves once you're in the sport mode. And look at that view, guys. Amazing. And there's a sports mode, and as I just noticed, a sports plus mode. The horsepower keeps on coming. All right, let's talk a bit about the different variants that are available here. So you've got the Macan, that's your base model, Macan 4, 4S, and then, of course, the Turbo. Each of the four models gets the same 100 kilowatt-hour 95 usable. This is, of course, NCM chemistry, nickel, cobalt, manganese. This is a performance vehicle. You need that chemistry in this type of vehicle. Electric motor in each of the cars. Base model gets one rear wheel drive motor, and then all the other three get dual motor. And that second motor in the rear increases in power as we go up, obviously with the most powerful being the turbo. So if you're paying attention, you will notice that I've now switched cars. So last night they took us to what they dubbed the Macan Villa, which was this literal villa, all Porsche themed. And they gave us a demo of the car, the theoretical demo of the cars there before we actually got to drive them today. And at the end of the session, they told us you have to pick two of the four models available to drive today. So you know which one I signed up for first. Like, you give the man a choice to get a turbo, he picks a turbo. But then I said, which is the second car? And for the second car, I decided to go for which is ultimately, in big inverted commas, the weakest of the four models, which is this, the Macan. Not weak in the slightest. I mean, you undeniably from the turbo, right, feel the differences right away. The turbo is, it is literally something else. I've realized that electric cars can now be classified in two categories. You've got the fast and you've got the stupid fast. And the turbo falls in the stupid fast category, without a doubt. This will fall in the fast category. 0 to 60 in 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 5.7 seconds, right? But single motor rear wheel drive, which actually then means we actually get more range. So well over 600 kilometers WLTP range on this model. So fantastic driving experience. Let me tell you, so I had never driven a Porsche, right? So this today was my first ever experience. I'm very new to this, right? I got excited about this because of electrification. So I cannot compare to the internal combustion ones. But they told me yesterday, when I told them that tomorrow is my first time driving a Porsche, they told me you will know. And you know what? I do know now what they mean, because there is a level of finesse in the design and the finish. Undoubtedly, it is perfection throughout. But in terms of the ride quality, there is a level of handling which is unmatched, essentially. The control, the suspension. The suspension, for me, it is now my benchmark. Undeniably my benchmark, because it is smooth as butter. I mean, bumpy roads, you still sort of feel them, but it's the suppression and the reduction in these intense hits from the tarmac here is down to a minimal level. So definitely my benchmark over there. In terms of power, again, this base model still has the fancy driving mode switch, and you still get your Sport Plus mode, which let me tell you again, you tap and it goes pretty fast. It doesn't go stupid fast. Turbo is stupid fast, as I said. Now we have some noticeable improvements on this all new Macan, and they're able to get that because the car is now all electric. So for example, we have a completely flat underfloor. Now that's gonna help with the aerodynamics of the vehicle. In fact, the aerodynamics drop from a 0.35 drag coefficient to 0.25 in this model. Another thing that's helping that is the active grills right here in the front. So those can close shut when cooling isn't needed. There's no internal combustion to cool, remember. So when cooling isn't needed, they can close shut, again improving the aerodynamics. So if you come with me as well, another improvement is they've been able to drop the front seats a bit lower than before, just 3 centimeters, but that makes a world of a difference, right? Because the car does feel sportier. It's incredible how they're able to do that despite the fact that there's a huge battery pack right here, right? Back seats actually do even better, dropping by 15 centimeters. So you do get this very sports car feel. Another new addition, rear wheel steering, which is definitely going to help going around bends very fast. And that turning circle actually drops by a meter to around 11 meters. All right, so as I'm stuck here in the Montenegrin traffic, allow me to geek out on the most important technological fact about Porsche, which is actually something they developed in the Taycan, which is an 800 volt battery architecture, which is different to the 400 volt architecture most cars have been released on, at least here in Europe. And because of that change, they are able to charge the car a lot faster. So how fast? So this car, like the Porsche Taycan, can charge at 270 kilowatts, which means a full top-up of this 100 kilowatt hour battery is achieved in around 21 minutes from the correct infrastructure, essentially. And which is that infrastructure? Well, you would have to go to a 300 kilowatt charger, which there are actually quite a few of now. I did my road trip, right? We drove from Leeds all the way down to Malta. We saw a lot of these chargers. You're looking at the Ionity, which all reach 300 kilowatts. So under the ideal conditions, because there's also a few things to do with the ambient temperature, the temperature of the battery when you arrive to charge, and a lot of these things to get that maximum power. But you're looking at a 21-minute charge. I don't think that is enough time to have a pee break, essentially, and have a coffee. Just 21 minutes for another 500 kilometers of range, right? So this is plentiful, and in my opinion, one of the leading things Porsche have over the competition, which is this 800 volt charging. Of the cars we're getting here in Europe, of course in China 800 volt has taken off a lot faster, but here in Europe we're lagging a bit behind when it comes to this, but Porsche are not. Let me tell you, by Friday's standpoint, this probably goes down as one of my best. The Porsche Macan is here. All electric, no longer internal combustion. You know, Ferdinand Porsche was right so many years ago building that first electric car. Then they went and diverted and did a bunch of internal combustion because frankly the batteries weren't good enough, but finally the batteries are good enough so many years later. And here we are at the beginning of a new chapter, essentially, where electric is good for the city car, but is also brilliant for a performance application like this one. Guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed this experience. Big thanks to Porsche Malta for making this opportunity happen, coming here to Montenegro. I would have never come to Montenegro if it wasn't for this experience, and I'm glad I did because it's a beautiful country. But as always, I continue convincing myself with cars like this one that the future is electric.